I walked into my daughter's room and found my mother-in-law injecting her with something, whispering, "This will make you forget mommy." Patricia had already given Lily 3 doses before I caught her. The pediatric neurologist confirmed it while showing me my daughter's brain scans, pointing to damage patterns consistent with repeated benzodiazepine exposure mixed with scopolamine, an amnesia drug. My 4-year-old had stopped recognizing my face 2 weeks ago, started calling me the lady instead of mama, ran to Patricia's arms whenever I tried to hold her. I thought it was a phase. Then I came home early from my nursing shift and found my mother-in-law with a syringe in Lily's arm, whispering about erasing me from her memory. What I witnessed wasn't the beginning. It was the final dose in a months-long plan to make my daughter forget I existed. Patricia smiled when I screamed, didn't even try to hide the needle, just calmly said Lily didn't need a mother who worked night shifts anyway. Behind her, on the dresser, sat 3 more pre-filled syringes next to the jewelry box my husband claimed his mother gave Lily for her birthday. I grabbed my phone to call 911. Patricia was faster. She dialed my husband first. David answered immediately, and Patricia's voice transformed into something fragile and terrified. She told him I'd attacked her unprovoked, that I was acting violent and unstable, that she feared for Lily's safety. I could hear David through the speaker, already believing every word, already angry at me without question. He told his mother to lock herself and Lily in the bedroom until he arrived. Patricia's eyes locked on mine while she performed her victim act. When she hung up, she picked up Lily's limp body. My daughter was barely conscious, drugged into compliance. I tried to take her, but Lily cried and reached for Patricia, calling her mama. That word destroyed me. Patricia had been conditioning her, training her to see grandmother as mother while systematically poisoning her memories of me. I demanded answers. What was in those syringes? Patricia rocked Lily in the chair and hummed a lullaby, completely ignoring me. A car door slammed outside. David had been 20 minutes away at his office. He was here in 5. That meant he'd been close, waiting. This whole thing was coordinated. I grabbed the 3 syringes from the dresser and ran downstairs. David burst through the door looking murderous, demanding to know what I'd done to his mother. I showed him the syringes, tried to explain what I'd witnessed. He slapped them from my hand. They scattered across the hardwood floor, evidence rolling under furniture. David told me I was having a breakdown, that I needed to leave immediately before he called police. Patricia appeared at the stairs holding our unconscious daughter, and David's face softened. He told his mother to take Lily somewhere safe. I blocked the staircase, said Lily needed a hospital, not Patricia's house. For 1 second, David looked at our daughter's limp form and I thought he'd listen. Then Patricia spoke in that wounded, trembling voice. She claimed I'd been making accusations for weeks. Told David I'd confessed to her last month about losing my mind from work stress. I never said that. Never said anything close. But David believed her instantly. He always believed her. He grabbed my arm, dragged me from the stairs while Patricia walked out with my daughter. I screamed for him to stop her, to look at the syringes on the floor, to see what was really happening. He held me back while his mother drove away with Lily. When her car disappeared, David released me and told me to pack a bag. He wanted me gone tonight. I picked up the syringes with shaking hands. 3 vials of clear liquid that had been destroying my daughter's brain. David said they were probably vitamin B12, that his mother mentioned Lily getting sick lately and needing immune support. Another lie I'd never heard until this moment. Lily had been perfectly healthy. When had Patricia supposedly told him this? He said a few weeks ago during my night shifts. Patricia had been planting seeds, building her narrative, preparing for this exact moment. David's phone buzzed. He showed me Patricia's text. Lily woke up asking where Mama was, and when I said Mama's at home, Lily got confused and asked where Grandma went. My daughter was calling Patricia Mama. David showed me like it proved I was the problem instead of proving everything I'd said. I grabbed my medical bag and found instant drug test strips. If I could test Lily's urine, I could prove she'd been drugged. David blocked my path, said I wasn't going near Lily in my current state. What state? The state where I was acting paranoid and aggressive toward his mother, making wild accusations without evidence, clearly having some kind of mental health crisis. Every phrase sounded rehearsed. Patricia had been feeding him these exact words for weeks, preparing him to choose her over me. I needed to reach Lily before Patricia gave another dose or disappeared with her completely. I told David I was leaving for his mother's house. If he tried stopping me, I'd call police myself. He stood in front of the door and said if I showed up there, he'd have me arrested for harassment. His mother was afraid of me. I'd supposedly threatened her before. What threats? When? David couldn't provide details. Just repeated that Patricia felt unsafe around me and I needed to stay away. My phone was in David's hand. I asked for it back to at least call my sister. David scrolled through my recent calls, face darkening. He asked why I'd called Patricia's doctor's office 3 times yesterday. I'd been trying to learn if Patricia had prescriptions that might explain the syringes. The receptionist wouldn't tell me anything. David said this proved I'd been harassing his mother and her medical providers, that I was obsessed. He returned my phone but kept my car keys. I called Vanessa. She arrived 20 minutes later and found us in a standoff. I showed her the syringes. She was a pharmacist, recognized immediately that something was wrong. She told David this wasn't B12. The viscosity and presentation were wrong. These were custom compounds from a specialty pharmacy. David claimed maybe Patricia got them from a wellness clinic. Vanessa asked for documentation. David had none. Vanessa bagged the syringes and said we were taking them to the hospital lab for analysis. David tried to refuse, but Vanessa went cold. She told him if he stopped us, she'd call police herself and report child endangerment. We drove to my hospital. Vanessa's colleague ran a rush analysis. 40 minutes later, the lab tech emerged looking disturbed. The primary compound was high-dose benzodiazepine mixed with scopolamine, not any standard medication. This was specifically formulated for memory suppression. He asked where we got these. I told him my mother-in-law had been injecting my 4-year-old daughter. He picked up his phone. He was legally required to report this. Within 30 minutes, I was explaining everything to a CPS investigator named Nina Hartwell. She listened without interrupting, taking notes. She asked for evidence beyond the syringes and my testimony. I showed her videos from the past weeks, Lily looking at me with total confusion, calling Patricia Mama, referring to me as the lady. Nina's jaw tightened. She asked where Lily was now, at Patricia's house with David. Nina called her supervisor, stepped out briefly, returned and said officers were heading there immediately for a welfare check. They'd secure Lily and transport her for medical evaluation. I asked to go with them. Nina said my presence might escalate things. I needed to wait. 2 hours passed. Nina returned with an update. Officers encountered resistance. David initially refused entry, claiming no warrant was needed. They explained welfare checks don't require warrants when child endangerment is reported. Patricia finally allowed them inside but said Lily was sleeping and shouldn't be disturbed. Officers insisted. They found Lily in Patricia's bedroom, unconscious, with another syringe on the nightstand. Paramedics were called. Patricia claimed it was children's melatonin for sleep troubles. Officers secured the syringe as evidence. Lily was being transported to this hospital right now, 3 floors below us. I stood to go see her. Nina stopped me. CPS protocol required evaluation before allowing contact given conflicting parental statements. They were keeping me from my daughter while she was in the ER. I didn't care about protocols. I took the stairs down, found Lily's room. She was unconscious, so small in that hospital bed. I went to her side, took her hand. The nurse asked who I was. Lily's mother. She checked her clipboard. No visitors allowed except authorized personnel. I explained I worked here. I was a pediatric nurse. This was my daughter. The nurse looked sympathetic but said she had orders from administration. I needed to leave. Security arrived. 2 guards I recognized from night shifts. One had a daughter, Lily's age. They'd played together at the hospital Christmas party. They looked uncomfortable escorting me out. They took me back to the conference room where Detective Angela Reeves waited. She wanted a formal statement. I told her everything again, start to finish. She recorded with my permission and said Patricia and David were being questioned separately right now. Patricia claimed I had a history of mental instability, had been making false accusations for months, had been too afraid to tell David how bad it had gotten. David supported his mother's version, said I'd been acting paranoid and erratic. Reeves asked about my mental health history. None. No diagnosis, no treatment. I gave immediate permission to access my records. Then Reeves showed me something that made my stomach drop. Patricia had provided text messages I'd allegedly sent her over the past month, becoming increasingly hostile and paranoid, accusing Patricia of poisoning Lily against me, threatening that if Patricia didn't stop interfering, I'd make sure she never saw Lily again. I stared at messages from my number that I absolutely didn't send. Someone had access to my phone or spoofed my number. I told Reeves I never wrote these. She stayed neutral, but I saw the doubt. This was exactly what someone would say if they'd sent threatening texts and now regretted it. Patricia had set me up perfectly, creating evidence, building her narrative over weeks, waiting for the right moment. And I'd walked right into it by catching her. Vanessa argued about the syringes and lab results. Reeves said results were preliminary. They needed complete toxicology screening. Meanwhile, CPS was taking temporary custody of Lily until they sorted out competing allegations. How long would that take? Days minimum, possibly weeks. My daughter was unconscious from being drugged by her grandmother, and CPS was treating this like a custody dispute instead of attempted murder. I said exactly that. Reeves told me to be careful about accusations I couldn't prove yet, that attempted murder was serious and required serious evidence. The toxicology results came back 2 days later. The compound was midazolam and scopolamine in doses far exceeding appropriate levels for children. Repeated exposure could absolutely cause the memory loss I'd described. This wasn't vitamins. This was a deliberately formulated amnesia cocktail requiring pharmaceutical knowledge to create. Detective Reeves called me back. Patricia had been arrested and charged with child endangerment and administering harmful substances. But Patricia claimed she got the injections from a wellness clinic specializing in alternative treatments for children with behavioral issues. A doctor there supposedly told her these would help Lily be less attached to me and more independent. Some children had unhealthy attachments to their mothers that needed chemical balancing. Reeves asked if I believed this. Absolutely not. No legitimate doctor would prescribe amnesia drugs to break a mother-child bond. Reeves showed me Patricia's phone records. She'd been in contact with someone named Dr. Raymond Ashford for 6 months. He ran the Maternal Transition Institute, claiming to help families restructure unhealthy parenting dynamics. His website discussed children overbonded with biological mothers to the detriment of other relationships. Their treatments supposedly redistributed attachment appropriately across family members, Insane pseudoscience presented in professional medical language. They were investigating Ashford, but he claimed doctor-patient confidentiality, refusing information about Patricia's treatment. They needed a warrant. How long? Filed that morning, expected within 2 days. Patricia had been released on bail posted by David. She was ordered no contact with Lily but free to go home. David had bailed her out after everything revealed. Reeves said David still supported his mother, claiming she'd been manipulated by Ashford into thinking she was helping. Lily woke up on day 3. I was finally allowed to see her with CPS supervision. She opened her eyes, looked around confused, then her gaze landed on me. For one horrible moment, nothing, just staring like I was a stranger. Then something shifted and she said mama uncertainly, testing the word. I started crying, went to her bedside, took her hand. She let me but didn't squeeze back. The supervisor Michelle watched carefully, making notes. Lily asked where Grandma was. I said Grandma couldn't visit. Lily cried, asking for Grandma, needing Grandma. I tried comforting her but she pulled away, kept asking for Patricia. Michelle documented everything. After 20 minutes, she ended my visit because Lily was too distressed. I was being separated from my daughter because my mother-in-law had successfully drugged her into forgetting me and bonding with her instead. The pediatric neurologist Dr. Nathan Cross explained that the drug combination was specifically designed to disrupt memory formation and recall, particularly emotional memories and attachment bonds. Repeated doses over months had significantly interfered with Lily's ability to recognize and bond with me. Good news. Children's brains were remarkably plastic. With time and no further exposure, Lily's natural memories should return. But it would take months, possibly with permanent gaps from the drugging period. The warrant for Ashford's records revealed horror. He'd been running this maternal transition program for 8 years, working with dozens of families where grandmothers, fathers, or relatives wanted to reduce a child's bond with their mother. His protocols detailed gradually erasing maternal attachment through drugs, behavioral conditioning, and psychological manipulation. Patricia had followed his program exactly, starting with small doses while positioning herself as primary caregiver. Ashford's notes described me as an obstruction to optimal family restructuring and recommended accelerated memory dissolution protocols to speed Lily's transition from maternal to grandmaternal attachment, written like legitimate medical treatment instead of orchestrated abuse. They were arresting Ashford for practicing medicine without proper license, since his credentials were from an unaccredited online university. They were investigating whether other families had similar outcomes. Ashford had treated 34 families in 8 years. 34 children drugged to forget their mothers. David called me days later. He wanted to talk without lawyers. We met at a coffee shop, Vanessa with me for support. David looked destroyed. He'd been going through his mother's things and found a journal documenting her entire plan. Pages detailing her belief that I was a bad mother, that Lily deserved better, that Patricia could provide the stable full-time care I couldn't while working. The entries started 2 years ago when Lily was 2. Patricia had been planning this since then. David showed me photos of entries. 6 months ago, she'd found Ashford's program. Exactly what she needed to save Lily from my inadequate parenting. 3 months ago, her first test dose. Lily seemed confused but not distressed. Confirmation the treatment worked gently. The day before I caught her, ready for final phase. 1 or 2 more doses and Lily wouldn't remember me at all. Then Patricia could legally pursue custody without Lily fighting for her. David cried showing me these entries. He'd been stupid, blindly loyal to his mother, ignoring every warning sign. He'd wanted to believe I had mental health problems because that was easier than accepting his mother was capable of this evil. Why show me now? Because he finally understood, and he wanted to help fix it however he could. He'd given the journal to Detective Reeves and contacted CPS to support my custody. He was divorcing me because he couldn't expect forgiveness after siding with his mother. But he wanted Lily returned to me and Patricia facing full consequences. I didn't know what to say. Part of me wanted to scream at him. But I understood Patricia had manipulated him his entire life, trained him to trust her without question. Vanessa asked about Patricia's bail. Why had David posted it? He hadn't. His mother used her own money, a separate account he didn't know about with over $80,000 in savings. Where did she get that money? Detective Reeves discovered the answer through subpoenaed financial records. Patricia had been running a consulting business for 15 years, advising other grandmothers and family members on gaining custody from parents Patricia deemed unfit. She charged $5,000 per consultation, had worked with over 40 families. Regular deposits of consulting fees? They found emails where Patricia recommended Ashford's services to at least 12 other clients. This wasn't just about stealing Lily, this was a business. Patricia had monetized the destruction of mother-child bonds for over a decade. Online forums showed Patricia posting under pseudonyms, giving advice on documenting mothers' inadequacy, building cases for grandparent custody, turning fathers against mothers by planting doubt. Hundreds of posts spanning years, coaching family members through systematically undermining mothers. Some posts mentioned medical interventions, with links to Ashford's clinic. The full toxicology on the syringe found at Patricia's house showed an even more potent dose than initially found. Dr. Cross reviewed the levels and said if Patricia had administered that dose, it could have caused permanent neurological damage. She wasn't trying to make Lily forget me temporarily. That dose could have destroyed Lily's ability to form secure attachments ever again. Patricia was willing to permanently damage her granddaughter's brain to win. Charges were upgraded to attempted grievous bodily harm and child abuse with intent to cause serious injury. Ashford was charged as accomplice. His clinic shut down, assets frozen. The medical board investigated how he'd operated 8 years unreported. Part of the answer, families thought they were receiving legitimate care. Grandmothers and fathers bringing children genuinely believed his credentials and claims that maternal overbonding was treatable. They'd wanted to believe because it justified taking children from mothers they disliked. CPS allowed me supervised visitation 3 times weekly. Each visit was painful. Lily called for Patricia constantly, seemed uncertain about me, pulled away from hugs, but small breakthroughs emerged. 4th visit. I brought her favorite stuffed elephant she'd slept with since age 1. When she saw it, something flickered. Recognition, maybe. Familiarity. She took it, held it close, looked at me with less confusion. Michelle noted this as positive. By visit 6, Lily held my hand the entire session. Visit 8, she let me read a bedtime story and fell asleep in my lap. These tiny victories felt monumental. Dr. Cross said this was exactly what he'd hoped. Lily's natural attachment fighting through drug-induced fog, her brain remembering even if conscious mind wasn't sure. Another month or 2 before memories fully returned, longer for emotional connection to repair fully. Patricia's trial started 4 months after I caught her. Prosecution presented overwhelming evidence. Syringes, toxicology, Patricia's journal, financial records showing consulting business, Dr. Cross's testimony about neurological damage, Ashford's records detailing maternal transition program. Patricia's defense claimed she genuinely believed she was helping, that Ashford manipulated her, that she was his victim too. Prosecution destroyed this with journal entries showing she knew exactly what she was doing, researched drug effects, calculated doses and timing to maximize memory loss while avoiding obvious symptoms. Defense called character witnesses describing devoted grandmother and community pillar. Prosecution called mothers who'd lost custody following Patricia's advice, fathers coached to document wives' mistakes for custody battles. One mother testified Patricia told her to secretly record her daughter's grocery store meltdown, show it to a judge as mental instability evidence. Another testified Patricia coached her ex-husband to call CPS repeatedly with false neglect reports until the system took children away. Pattern was undeniable. Patricia had spent a decade teaching people how to destroy mothers and steal children. Jury deliberated 3 hours, guilty on all charges. Patricia showed no emotion. David wasn't in the courtroom. He couldn't watch his mother convicted even knowing she deserved it. Ashford's trial resulted in guilty verdicts on 23 counts. Records showed similar programs for other family restructuring types, helping fathers alienate mothers, step-parents replace biological parents, adoptive parents erase adopted children's birth family memories, over 60 families treated in 8 years, at least 40 children drugged. Most families now investigated by CPS. Patricia's sentencing hearing was packed. Mothers whose children she'd helped steal, fathers manipulated by her advice, grandparents who'd paid for consultations and regretted it. I sat front row with Vanessa and David. Lily was with Dr. Okoye, too young for this. Prosecutor requested maximum 18 years given severity and number of families harmed. Defense requested leniency based on age and lack of prior record. Judge asked if Patricia wanted to speak. She stood, smoothed her hair, faced the courtroom. I expected apology. Instead, she said she'd devoted her life to helping families, was sorry the court didn't understand her work's importance. Children needed stability and proper care. Sometimes that meant restructuring unhealthy attachments. She'd helped dozens of children find better homes with superior parenting family members. She was proud of that work. She loved Lily and only wanted what was best. She looked directly at me during this. No remorse in her eyes, just conviction she'd been right. Judge's response was cold. Patricia had caused immeasurable harm, monetized child abuse and called it help. Complete lack of remorse proved she remained dangerous. Sentenced to 15 years, no parole possibility for 10. Patricia would be 73 at first eligibility. She'd likely die in prison. Patricia's expression finally cracked hearing the sentence. Real tears, not manipulative ones. Understanding consequences for the first time. Security led her out in handcuffs. David put his head in his hands and cried. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no relief, just exhaustion. 2 years later, Lily was 6. Her memories from before drugging had mostly returned, though gaps remained she'd never recover. Couldn't remember her 3rd birthday or our mountain vacation when she was 3. Those memories chemically erased before long-term consolidation. But she remembered me as mother now, trusted me completely, showed healthy attachment. We still saw Dr. Okoye twice monthly. Lily sometimes had nightmares about needles or being lost, unable to find me. Manifestations of trauma even without conscious memory of details. I'd explained in age-appropriate terms that Grandma made bad choices and had to go away, that Grandma had been sick in her brain in ways that hurt people. Wasn't Lily's fault, and she was safe. Lily asked if Grandma would come back. Not until Lily was grown and could decide for herself. Lily said she didn't think she'd want to see Grandma because Grandma had been scary. I told her she never had to see anyone who made her unsafe. David and I finalized divorce. He paid support and had supervised visitation every other weekend. His relationship with Lily was complicated by Patricia association, but he was working on it with his therapist. Lily gradually warmed to seeing him. David had completely cut contact with Patricia, written her a letter saying he'd never forgive her. Investigation into Patricia's business led to 17 other criminal cases across 6 states. CPS reviewed hundreds of custody arrangements influenced by her advice. Some children returned to mothers. Others too old or had formed stable attachments. Forcing change would be traumatic. Legal and psychological aftermath would take years. Several mothers whose children were permanently taken contacted me to form a support group. We met monthly, sharing experiences, supporting each other through complex grief of losing time with children to Patricia's scheming. Some got children back but struggled with damaged relationships. Others lost children permanently, learning to live with that loss. We all carried anger at a system allowing Patricia to operate so long, believing her act while ignoring mother's warnings. I started working part-time instead of full-time to spend more time with Lily. Financial strain was worth rebuilding our bond and creating new memories to replace stolen ones. We did ordinary things, baking cookies, going to parks, reading bedtime stories. Each normal moment felt precious because I'd almost lost the chance. Lily started kindergarten and thrived. Teacher had no idea what we'd been through unless noticing Lily clung too tightly during drop-off or needed extra reassurance I'd be there for pickup. Dr. Okoye said these attachment behaviors were normal given experience, would likely fade as Lily grew confident in my consistent presence. Patricia sent letters from prison I returned unopened. Prison chaplain asked if I'd meet Patricia for her rehabilitation program. I declined. Whatever healing Patricia needed didn't require my participation or forgiveness. Dr. Okoye supported this, saying I had no obligation to provide closure to someone who'd tried erasing me from my daughter's mind. 3 years after conviction, Lily was 7 and doing well. 2nd grade, friends, loved soccer and art. She rarely mentioned Patricia, and when she did, it was factual, not emotional. Grandma was the person who made bad choices and went to prison. Simple understanding without processing all details yet. Dr. Okoye said we'd have complex conversations when older about drugging and memory manipulation. For now, we focused on healthy present and future. I wrote this when Lily was 12, old enough to have input on sharing our story publicly. She said yes, wanted other children and mothers to know they weren't alone. Wanted people understanding grandmothers could be abusers. Not all family was safe. You could survive even when someone tried erasing you. Patricia took 2 years of our lives and tried taking everything. She failed. Lily remembered me, loved me, chose me every day. We built a life that wasn't perfect but genuinely ours, filled with normal joys and challenges and occasional therapy processing lingering trauma. We survived pharmaceutically induced parental alienation and came out stronger. If you're reading this and recognizing your situation, know it's not in your head. Document everything. Trust instincts. Seek help from believers. The system won't always protect immediately, but evidence accumulates and truth emerges. Fight for your child when it feels hopeless. They need you fighting even when they can't remember why. Your bond is stronger than any drug, any manipulation, anyone trying to destroy it. Keep showing up, keep loving, keep providing stability and safety they need to heal. Their brain will remember you even when conscious mind doesn't. That saved us. It can save you too. Thanks for hanging out till the end. If you want more stories, make sure to subscribe and leave your take below.